All right, now for my second selection in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft. For those that don't know me, I am Charles Barnes at BU_scouting on most social media platforms. And what you're viewing right now is my video series of who I would have selected for the Tennessee Titans live as they were selecting them. So go back and watch the first video. I talked about the number 4 overall draft pick. And this is the number 31 overall draft pick that the Tennessee Titans themselves ended up trading up. So here's where it gets a little bit different. But before I get to that, I want you guys to know that who you're talking to and who the messenger is. I'm Charles Barnes at BU_scouting. I've coached basketball and football, have been in recruiting offices at the collegiate level, have kept up with my accuracy and hit rate for Titan-centric draft or all things football, all things NFL wise for a decade plus, as well as free agency rankings and all that. Obviously took a GM course, know some GMs, have scouts numbers in my phone. So definitely do this and love it. And it's a passion. And I love the process and I love getting better as a evaluator. That's just who your messenger is. But back to the selection. So here's how here's where it gets different for me. Obviously, I'm not the one who made the draft, like the trade, right? I'm not the one who said, "Hey, 35 is not good enough. I want to get this specific player. Let's give up 165." Um, you know, or let's move back to 165. Let's give up 101 and let's move back a little bit. I'm not the one who came up with that idea. That's what the Titans wanted to do for Keldrick Falk. That's who they selected. By the way, first video series, I talked about all of the Tennessee Titans selections. So go check that out if you want to. But so that's where it makes it different for me because at pick 4, I'm thinking that I have 101 that's going to be there and all of this. I think I'm selecting at 35. I think that I'm selecting day 2, not day 1. So that's where it gets a little different for someone who does this practice, but it also shows a level of ability to adapt and work with what you got in real time. So with that being said, this is who I would have selected. Guard Emmanuel Pregnon out of Oregon, a player that in real time in the draft slid to I think pick 88. So it was, 57 pick slide. So that can go into one of the concerns for the people who actually care about that. But for the actual player, long arms, has some room to go. He's about 6'4", 314. Think he can add some muscle. Think he adds a little bit to his frame to get to 320. Um, Super physical, strong grip, good base, can anchor down. I think the problems that you may find with Pregnon is the fact that he's somewhat of a um I mean, when was he born? Oh, 03. So he's gonna be 23. He's just turning 23. So age is not the problem. But I do think like some people saw him as just one position, right? Excuse me, which was a left guard only or guard only. There isn't much position flexibility for him to be a center, for example. So a lot of people may have docked him for that. There's an athleticism threshold that someone may want for their guard, right? And I look at it like this. So you take a guard that by all accounts has good tape, analytically checks out, and you look at the class in itself, and I'm calling my shot now, a lot of the better interior offensive linemen from this draft class will be offensive tackle to interior lineman converts. It won't be the guys that had G or OG next to their name. So all the guys after uh Vega, Ione, after Pregnon, after, I guess you can throw in uh Rutledge, Some people believe in Basantis. I wasn't necessarily 100% sold on him, but if you want to throw him in there after that, and usually that's how most drafts are, it's gonna be it was a drop off. So for me, that's why I went ahead and took Pregnon where I took him, because I knew there was gonna be a significant drop off after him. Um, but also there is some opportunity cost and pivot plays due to the trade up. And then obviously, I don't know that the very next day they're also going to trade again and give up um, 144 to trade up and take their linebacker the very next day. So I don't know that. So I'm still thinking that I have a little bit more draft capital to do what I want to do in later drafts. But such is the case when you're doing this practice. So opportunity costs our player like Zion Young or if I wanted to pivot, I probably wouldn't have taken Derek Moore that earlier, but early. But I'm not opposed to the Titans draft pick. I've talked about that. I understand their thinking. But I went with Pregnon based off what I had done prior and just believing that if I'm going to take a guard, and I think it's very important for teams that need interior offensive linemen to get their guy in this draft class or even find a way to get him this year because I don't think next year it'd be as strong. So really just wanted to get a strong prospect that I saw that was really good. I think, if you think he's left guard only, is that sounds like a skill issue, whether it be with him, Bregnon, or the coaching to teach this guy how to play right guard. Like I understand there's differences, but like time put in. Obviously, like I said, I've said my concerns about him, athleticism profile. Um, it seems by all accounts, I don't know if there's any type of health concerns, but he showed a good level of toughness playing through some ticky-tack injuries throughout his career. So really like the player. Um, that's who I would select it. So first round, Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State, and then Emmanuel Pregnon, guard out of Oregon. Stay tuned for who I selected with the Tennessee Titans trade up to 60.